Hello everyone, it's me Cassidy with another Teachable Tuesday. For this Teachable Tuesday we're going to be doing a video format, so it's going to be about when to repot your plant. So a lot of times we get people who come in who say like, my plant's not looking the best, it's wilty, I water it enough, it looks fine, I watered a little, it still doesn't look like the best. So what's wrong with my plant? And a lot of times the answer is that the plant might be root bound or in the wrong size pot. So oftentimes I like to start my plants off in like smaller. Over here you can see some of our succulents that we have in smaller pots just to let the roots grow until they get bigger and ready for a larger pot size. Over here we have some plants that are about in the right pot size. It's a little bit bigger than I would typically use, but the stem in there is quite large, and usually I like to get a pot that's just a little bit wider than where the leaves are, or around there, because that's about how far the roots will spread. For this week's class we'll be working with this hardy fig here. It produces edible fruit, and it's zone hardy to zone 5. So if you're in zone 4 or zone 5, you may branches in burlap over the winter, or like a tarp, just to make sure that it survives the winter, and it'll produce an edible fruit after about 5 years of growth. This one's at about 1 year of growth. That this one's ready for a repot because it's got roots coming out of the bottom. If you take the pot off here, you can see that it's got some girdling around the bottom, which is just when the roots get wrapped around the bottom. So it is time to repot that puppy. And when I repot, I typically want something that's 1 inch to 2 inches bigger than what it's currently got. So this pot here looks like it'll do just fine because it's got about 1 inch on both sides. Now we just reuse this pot from the pots of our plants this summer. Some of them we repotted into bigger containers, and we just save the containers here. Now when you do reuse a container, you'll want, so we used a triple wash method where we mixed 1 to 8 parts of bleach with water, and then we rinsed it. Then we mixed 1 part vinegar to 6 parts of water to get off some of the hard water film, because we have hard water here in Baraboo. And then we just rinsed it with regular water after that. And if you want, you can use like Dawn dish soap and wash that out too. But really that's just to get the pathogens, any like algae or mold or anything like that that's built up on these pots over the summer months from having different soil in them out of there, so that we don't put our new plant at risk of getting any of those diseases. For the soil here, a mix of vermiculite, perlite, and sphagnum peat moss, and that's just to keep air around the roots, keep some moisture in, and really foster that root growth. So that's put this plant into the ground at your house. It'll have some nice, good roots growing throughout the whole soil. It'll be a happy, healthy plant. So let's get started. I'm down here and come around. So we've kind of got this whole thing set up here. I'm going to put my gloves on to protect my hands from the soil. And now, since the roots are going through the bottom of the pot, I'm going to try my best to be very gentle when taking this out, straightening the roots out, kind of untangling them. Most plant roots are pretty sturdy and will recover from light tugging. So it's alright if you happen to lose some of the roots while you're repotting. And now it's important to kind of like massage the bottom where all the roots are like circled and try and loosen them up some. You'll see that there are some like black roots a little bit down here, black and brown. The ones that are healthy are these white ones. So the black ones are the ones that aren't the healthiest. They might be starting to rot because they've been entangled so long and it's choking the plant out, which is why the plant looks wilty. So I'm just going to loosen some of those up so it can root into the new soil. So I've got that all set up. I'm going to take my pot and fill it with the soil that we got off to the side here. Now I've got that about halfway filled up, and I'm going to want this about level with the top of the new pot, because if you plant it any lower, the base of the tree will be under the soil, and that's not healthy for the plant either. And then I'm just going to fill in with soil around it. If I needed to fill in more soil at the bottom to keep it level with the top of the container, I just lift it up a little bit and tuck the soil underneath. But I don't need to do that because it's at just about the right height. And then I'm just going to spread it all around the base of the tree. It's also important not to overfill the pot, because when you water it, the soil will just drain off the top. You really want to keep everything just level with where the top of the pot is. And then you don't want to press down too firmly either, or else that'll compact the roots. And the roots need oxygen to grow, which is why they're spreading out the base of the cup, because they don't have enough oxygen. And this is about where I'd want it if I'm repotting something. Here, I'll show you in just a second. That's about what I like. Just a little like firmness on the soil. Make sure it's in there. It's not going to fall over when I like tip it. And that looks a lot better for this tree. So if you guys need any help repotting anything, just check the roots. Make sure that they're not root bound. And remember to keep everything in a good pot size for your plant width and height. Have a great day, you guys.